Hi, I'm Rajiv Satyal. I'm a comedian and a host. I am Indian.
And I'm American. So this show will tell the story of Indians in America.
I live right here in Los Angeles, the home of Warner Brothers, Disney, and now Funny Indian Productions. My guest picks a game, and we play it. So enjoy. What do you bring to the table?
We have as our guest Aasif Mandvi, who is an actor. It's good to have you on the show.
Nice to see you.
And you might know him from a lot of different things. What's the biggest thing you think people know you as? What's the big thing you think?
The biggest thing?
Aasif Mandvi, that guy.
The Daily Show, I think.
I think
I
still.
mean,
yeah.
It depends on who you are.
Yeah.
Usually, if you're like, live on the Upper West Side and you're kind of progressive and liberal and, you know.
You're people.
You're basically watching The Daily Show.
Yeah.
That's what you know from. But if you're sort of like homeless and you're sleeping in Grand Central Station.
And you're getting the New York Times to sleep in.
Right.
Then you'll see a lot.
You know me from Spider-Man 2.
You'll know him from Spider-Man 2, from Sakina's restaurant.
Right, Sakina's restaurant. Because the homeless are really going to theater.
They are avant-garde. They are the next thing.
They'll catch you in the Off Broadway.
That just sounds
You're
mean.
very good at this.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Did you grow up playing ping pong?
I did, but I think Indians just grew up playing ping pong.
I think we always, we either had a ping pong table.
Yeah.
Or we had friends that had a ping pong table.
Yeah.
But it was sort of like the first thing you did when you made any money or felt like you had arrived.
This was the splurge.
It was like, this was the splurge. You got a ping pong table.
Not a billiards table, not a pool table. That was too.
No, it was like, your kids were like sort of in junior high or high school or whatever, and then like you were like, we will get a ping pong table in the rec room.
Right.
Like having a rec room.
Yeah.
And having a ping pong table was kind of the quintessential, like, we've arrived.
Yeah, we've done
kind of thing, you know?
So fair enough, fair enough.
I grew up in the UK, so I grew up calling it table tennis. And then when I came to America, everyone was like, it's ping pong.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible name, really.
What's another one of those things that British call it one thing and we call it something else? Or, well, I guess you call the United States Britain, but we don't call it that
Well, I mean,
anymore.
there's many things. Like a sidewalk is a pavement.
Pavement, yeah.
You know, a lift is an elevator. Really, we're going to do this? This is the conversation we're going to have?
But yeah, we're gonna talk about my new show.
Britishisms versus Americanisms?
Or do we want to talk politics? Or do we not want to talk politics?
You can if you want.
Okay,
What do you
well,
want to
I'll throw it in the mix. I mean, let's talk about how you really feel, which is a part of your pieces. I mean, I'm still, speaking of pieces, I'm still in pieces over the election. I seriously cannot believe that it went the way that it went. Did you think that it would? Were you one of those people who kind of had a feeling all along, or were you stunned?
No, I have to say I was very surprised.
Yeah.
And I was literally in bed for 2 days afterwards. For me, it was almost worse than 9/11.
Okay, wow, okay. That's quite a statement. I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but so tell me.
It's just quite a statement.
Yeah.
But yes, it was worse than 9/11 for me because in 9/11 it felt like, oh, this thing happened. This like this thing from outside came and you know, attacked America, attacked us.
So
it was like this thing. And then this felt like
we attacked ourselves.
We turned on ourselves.
Yeah.
And that felt worse in a weird way.
Do you feel like was any justification for voting for Trump? Like, do you understand if these people sort of voted for him? Or
the truth is that the average Trump supporter makes $70,000 a year.
We're not talking
about trailer park people.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there were some of them, but you know, I think it's I think it's a lack of education, and it's a and look, it's white men. 70% of white men voted for Trump.
Yeah.
And that's a staggering statistic. I mean, look, listen to what I saw a video of him like talking about how much he loves women, and he's such a fan of women, and he's hired women, and he's given them great opportunities. And then this woman asked him, as a woman in your America, do I get paid the same as a man? And he said, his answer was, if you do as good a job. When a woman walks into an office, he's saying, I'm not going to offer the same job at the same price level, because a woman has to prove herself against a man.
Yeah. Which is impossible.
Which is impossible. It's exactly what minorities have to do all the time.
Right, exactly.
It's what you and I have to do, right?
Is that true in your field, in entertainment and in the arts, in acting?
No, I think that is true in my field. I think that like so many times in this business, it's like you have to convince them that this character can be brown.
Right.
But the white guy never has to convince them that the character should be white.
Right. That's just the default.
And and that's the thing, and the white guy can also they can have a brown character that they can very easily turn into white, or get a white guy to play a brown guy.
Right.
As we see all the time.
Isn't that though a function of the audience, and that the country is 70% white? So that it's kind of I asked my dad once about, he said there was a bird outside, and I go, what kind of bird? He goes, one of those regular birds. And I know what he meant. He meant a robin. He didn't mean a canary or a parakeet or a blue jay or a cardinal. He meant a regular bird.
You see robins more than anything.
Yeah, you see robins all over.
You could say it was a pigeon.
Yeah, that's true. But that wouldn't be a regular bird. I guess that's a regular bird.
In New York it is.
A pigeon, yeah, that's true. You do have a lot of pigeons here. I had a friend, she's Vietnamese, and she said, I was talking to this white girl, and I said, what you just did there was really good, because we always assume, I was talking to this girl, you just assumed she was white. So the only way to really kind of equalize it is to call everybody out for race. Not to not ever do it, but to do it always.
Yeah,
and that way everybody would be equal.
I think this whole thing of I don't see race, I'm post-racial is I see race. I see race immediately, and I also...
And you see it on some level. So you might not have clocked it as, this person is black or brown or whatever.
Yeah, but I think race is important, because I think it creates, it's connected to culture, it's connected to your experience. Mm-hmm. A black person's America is not the same as a white person's America, or an Indian person's America, or a Korean person's America, right? So I think all of that gets tied into how you experience reality,
How much does being Indian, how much has that influenced who you are? Your worldview, your career, whatever else? I mean, do you think of yourself as an Indian man?
I don't think of myself as an Indian man. I think of myself as an Indian, I guess, what is it, POI?
Yeah,
person of Indian origin.
Indian origin, yeah.
PIO.
PIO, yeah.
Is that the visa?
That.
That's the one you can get, the
yeah,
PIO?
the card, yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So I think that I've, like you, spent most of my life outside of India.
Yeah.
And so I have European American sort of sensibility.
Yeah.
Seen through the lens of growing up in an Indian family, and then you add on to that being a Muslim,
right?
Or these coming from. I don't think of myself as a very devout Muslim, but coming from a Muslim family and a Muslim background, and
since you're celebrating Diwali instead of Eid,
something
gave that away.
I celebrate Diwali because Diwali is a lot more fun. It's just
Diwali is a lot of fun. That's right. There's not a lot of deprivation. Yeah. In a word, as a noun, what do you think of yourself as you go through the world, professionally or personally? Is there a word that you think of yourself? Not an adjective like mysterious, but a noun.
Storyteller.
Okay, storyteller.
Yeah.
Great.
Whoa!
Oh, I know. I was trying to
nice.
Make you pull a muscle there. Have you feel your age. What would it mean to pull a U?
Pull a U?
Yeah, pull it. That guy just pulled an Aasif, pulled an Aasif Mandvi.
Oh,
what would that feel like?
Yeah. I think Maybe showing up late.
Okay.
I'm terrible with time.
Are you? Is that consistently that's
yeah.
a thing?
Oh,
Why?
yeah.
Why are you late? What's the reason?
Why am I late?
Yeah.
This is a good question. This is a question that many of my friends want the answer to.
Yeah.
And my family.
Yeah.
I think it's because.
And are you like 5 to 10 minutes late, or you're like 30 to 60?
I can be up to 30 minutes late sometimes.
Okay.
I think I'm not probably very good at time management, and I think I get distracted by things in the moment.
Yeah.
As opposed, like some people I think are very much about schedule.
Yeah.
This is the other extreme, right?
Yeah.
Some people are very much about schedule.
Right.
And they stick to the schedule.
Right.
And they're never late. Whereas for me, I think I'm more like, I stick to the schedule as long as something more interesting doesn't come up.
Right.
In the meantime, that draws my attention, and then I'm off schedule.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing is, and what that does is it allows you to like sometimes see something that is, really interesting and informative or just whatever. And other times it's just a waste of time.
What's your favorite time of day?
My favorite time of day
Yeah.
is probably the morning
Uh-huh.
because I love breakfast.
Breakfast, or as you call it in your book, brunch.
or brunch, yes. But I love that first
The
meal of the
possibility.
day.
Yeah.
I love breakfast. I love making it. I love having breakfast.
Uh-huh.
So I think that probably the morning, not super early morning. I'm not an early morning person.
So like 8 or like 10?
Like 10.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I feel like I'm like that post coffee
Yeah.
is good.
Buzz.
Good time of day. Yeah.
I think the advantage of being a night owl is that the day just keeps getting better.
Right.
So I always feel bad for morning people because it's over. Now
Right.
you
Yeah,
have to wait till
that's
tomorrow.
it. Yeah. You're done.
You're
the
done.
best part of your day is over.
Right. My
Right.
best is going to be tonight around 10, 11 o'clock. That's gonna be,
But
I mean, it's not going to
yeah.
be better than this, clearly, but you know.
Well, this
there
is
are
still
exceptions.
early in the day, though. We're still. I used to be a night person when I was, I don't know, maybe like younger or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like I feel like I'm sort of ready. I have the aspiration to be more of a night person.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now I find that like by the time midnight comes around,
oh, I'm
I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
done. Let's go to bed.
Now I'm done. So some people are motivated by, I'm going to show those dicks in high school. You know, and that they carry that for
Right.
ever.
Right.
And you go, wow, still? You're 50.
Yeah.
And they still, yes, and they won't admit it to themselves, but that's really actually what drives them.
Right.
Is
I
there-
think that's
is there
what
something
I
like
think what drove me earlier on
Yeah.
was probably like I'm gonna show everyone and
Yeah.
I'm gonna like I was sort of like I didn't know how to like live a normal life, so I became a performer.
Right.
You know, and sort of played by my own rules and whatever. And then I think what motivated me was then as I got older and maybe a little bit more successful and
Yeah.
sort of achieved a little bit of that, I'm going to show those dicks in high school
Yeah.
kind of thing. You realize that like, oh, maybe what the motivation is to actually make a difference, to change things. Maybe it's to say something that no one else has said.
Right.
To like sort of create, to create something, put something in the world, right? That no one else is. But
create
maybe that
something you
still
wish
comes back
existed.
to like a certain level of like, I just want to like prove to everyone that I'm hot.
Right.
You
right.
know?
Right.
Like
right,
I'm
right.
just trying to like get back at all the girls who didn't want to date me in high school.
I think that's the
You know?
motivation for a lot of comedians
I
to
think-
get into it. And,
Sure,
or Mark
rock
Zuckerberg and
stars
social
or
network.
actors or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, but then I think it evolves after that, right?
if you're
It
gonna
becomes
make
more
it, it does.
sophisticated.
Yeah.
That like I think that when you're a brown kid and you're sort of treated like, you're kind of periphery, like you're sort of like, oh yeah, you're Indian, whatever, you know what I mean? You're not part of the mainstream.
You're a recurring character.
Yeah, you're a recurring character.
You're not a series regular.
Exactly. You're a recurring character in everybody else's life.
Life,
you know,
yeah, right.
in white people's lives, right?
Right.
And or occasionally you're just a guest star, you know?
Right.
On like when they come to your house for
In your
Eid.
own life.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of sad, yeah.
But the thing is that like what happens is that you then becomes about like not only will I be accepted by the system, but I will change the system. I will, manipulate the system. I will make the system my bitch.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And so that becomes, in some ways, a motivating factor, and I will, sort of change the culture.
Jerry Seinfeld was on Alec Baldwin's podcast. Very, same level of fame as this.
Not
clearly.
playing ping pong.
Not playing ping pong, I tell you what. And, Seinfeld pointed out, and as he does, the obvious, but with such grace and ability. And he just said, at some point, every comedian has to decide, am I an actor or am I a host? That's basically the way it bifurcates.
Right.
And, if you really just break it down. So, I'm a host. I've always felt hosty. Did
Really?
you always feel like a storyteller? Were you writing stories as a kid? Were you drawn to stories more than other things?
Yeah, I mean, I was always telling stories. I was always writing short stories or poems or,
Right.
or songs or whatever, but it was always about storytelling.
Right.
And I think I see myself more as an actor than a host.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not that I couldn't host, and
I've seen
I've
you
enjoyed
host.
hosting.
Yeah. I've seen you host live shows and things like that. Yeah.
But I think where I started was as an actor.
Mm-hmm. Because, Daily Show correspondent, that is rather hosty.
It's hosty, yes.
In and of itself, but you're also telling a story.
But you're also telling a story, and you're also an actor.
Right.
Because that character on The Daily Show is as much a character
Right.
as anything else I've ever done. He just happens to have my name.
Right. Let me wrap up with just asking you about general advice you have for the kids out there. What is it? What are the pearls of wisdom? You've been doing this for a while. This meaning acting and this meaning living. What would you say?
I would say, if you're talking about being in this business,
Yeah, sure.
figure out what you want to say. And even if you don't know what you want to say, just make it up right now, and then you'll figure it out as you go along.
Okay.
But have a point of view and sort of, write, create stuff.
Right.
I don't know, I think that's what we need more. Maybe it's like not being afraid of failure.
Okay.
Because sometimes you go down one path and it doesn't work out and you have to change direction or you have to go in another way and you have to, but that creates ingenuity, so failure can be a lesson.
Yeah.
Don't let it be a thing that stops you.
Don't let it be an end. Let it be a new beginning.
Right, exactly.
Hey man, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been great to have you.
You should do that thing they do for the New York Lottery where you're like, our next guest is, and then you can say whatever
And then
you
we
want.
can dump it in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So our
can
next
dump it in.
guest is going to be, isn't that amazing?
Right,
Yeah,
wow,
can you
that's
believe?
amazing.
I know.
I love.
How did we get?
I love him.
Yeah. Aasif Mandvi, everybody. Aasif
Thank
Mandvi.
you.
I know. Everybody,
All right.
everybody can clap.
Next week on What Do You Bring to the Table?
Well, I think there's a lot of easier ways to make a living. And I think you just have to decide whether you want to make the sacrifice to do something and believe in stuff. Because I actually do make a concern about only working on things or putting my name on things that I really care about.
Right.
And that's limiting and it's difficult. And the hope is that it pays off later on.
Right.
But I think you have to just have the stomach for being I'm okay to be the shame of my family so that I can, come out again.